Spoilers for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for those who have not beaten it yet. So after a month of traveling through Hyrule, I have finally managed to beat Tears of the Kingdom, and it was awesome. There was so much more to do and see compared to the original Breath of the Wild. The Sky Islands were always fun to travel to and jump off of, and made the map feel so much larger than before. And you got the Chasm, which is just the entire map but underground, like, huh? I don't know how they managed to run all this on the Switch, but kudos to them. And as I was journeying across the land, I would come across the Dragon Tears, which showed Zelda in the past interacting with Rauru as they fended off the dreaded Ganondorf. We first see him commanding an army of monsters to defeat Rauru, but that didn't work, so he tried to be friendly for like 2 minutes before trying to kill everyone and took the Secret Stone from Sonia, becoming the true Demon King. The only way to defeat this menace was to seal him away under the castle for millennia. This guy had the power to change the weather, summoned thousands of demons, upheave the land, bodied all the sages at once, and even get his own amiibo. This would be the man that I would have to defeat if I was to ever get the girl and save the world. So once I helped all the domains with their problems and recruited the sages, I traveled to Hyrule Castle to defeat Ganondorf once and for all. Once I saw Zelda keep teleporting, I figured that G-Man was somehow behind it, and sure enough, he was trying to lure Link into a trap. Although lucky for me, the sages helped me out by defeating the Shadow Ganons. However, it turns out that the real Ganondorf is in the chasm underneath Hyrule Castle. So right now I'm pretty surprised, because the last game, as soon as you went to the castle, you fought the final boss. But here there's an extra step involved. So then I decided that I would go all out preparing for the true final fight. I ended up getting full stamina and around 20 hearts, got all the sages' wills and upgraded them all, lit up most of the underground, and got some rare weapons as well as beat Koga, found the Hyrulean Shield and Master Sword, acquired the Champion's Tunic and Diamond Circlet, which I upgraded to the max, made plenty of full recovery meals, unlocked all the memories, and just cause it looked cool, I fused the Fierce Deity Sword with the Master Sword. I was going full Doom Guy on his ass. So once I delved into the deeps and fought my way through the onslaught of silver bokoblins and Lynels, I made it to the end, where Ganondorf's army awaited me. Now, in the memories, we see him command a giant army full of heavy hitter monsters that look like they're about to utterly decimate the entire continent. But here, we just get a couple of bokoblins and Zolfos, and big bang boom, you're done. The domain bosses show up, but the Guardians take care of that off screen. So that was a bit easy, but here we are, face to face with the King of Evil himself. Now the battle of the century can ensue. Alright, well that was pretty easy, but that's just the first phase. The next one's gonna go crazy. I mean, look at that health bar. Surely this will be harder. Oh, he's beaten. Okay, maybe I overprepared just a little. But wait, he ate the secret stone. Oh my goodness. And now we're fighting a dragon in the sky? Now surely this is the challenge I was looking for. Well, that was, easy. So when I first finished the fight, I thought that it was a pretty good conclusion to the game. Although the more I thought about it and talked about it with some friends, the more I began to feel like something was missing. The entire game was hyping this guy up as the most badass Ganondorf to ever exist, easily beating the sages in the past and boasted had the power to completely destroy Hyrule. He even causes the entire upheaval of the land. So why is it that all it took was a few swings of the Master Sword to make him resort to turning into a dragon? Now, I get that maybe they made him a bit easier so that players who are brave enough to fight him as soon as possible could stand a chance. But doesn't that sort of defeat the purpose of making him out to be the strongest guy in the universe? Might as well call him the king of the curve stomps. The hardest thing about the boss is the fact that it takes place underground, meaning your maximum hearts goes down with each hit. But that's something more tied to the underground than to Ganondorf himself. If you look at speedruns of the game, you can see that he just doesn't even get a chance to spawn in before being sent to the Shadow Realm. And the dragon fight just boils down to diving on the back and destroying the eyes a few times. I mean, maybe I'm just too good at games, but I feel like this boss could have been so much more. But it ain't just the difficulty that bothers me about the boss, it's the story surrounding him. Mainly his connection to Link, to which there is none. Ganondorf is a character that we see mostly in flashbacks interacting with Zelda and Rauru. It's only there do they sometimes briefly mention Link, but from Link's perspective, and outside of the brief intro of the game, he's never even said a word or come face to face with him until the final fight. Ganondorf was more so built up to be Zelda's fight, not Link's. In other Zelda games, Link has usually interacted with the main villains a couple of times before the final fight, but not this time. Also, can I just say that I'm not a fan of the arena this boss takes place in? It's a small, cramped hole in the ground. It's not exactly a worthy battleground to decide the fate of the universe. And as far as the dragon fight is concerned, I will say that the concept of him eating the secret stone and having to fight him as a dragon is really cool, and the fight certainly is a spectacle, but the gameplay aspect of it still weighs it down just a little bit. Now, I normally don't like to bash on things for the sake of ragging on them, so I've come up with a few ideas as to how I would make this fight a little bit more intense. So I think the first phase is fine enough as it is. It can just serve as a nice warm-up. The second phase is where I would like to make some things different. So I do think it's really cool what they do with the health bar, but the fight itself isn't really that much different than the first phase. So instead, I'd make it so that each time you get his health down to a certain point, G-Dog would open up a hole in the ground and teleports to the bottom of it, making you dive in right after him. The hole would have lasers or orbs that damage you if you touch them, so you would have to dodge them as you fall down, and when you get to the bottom, the room is bigger than the last one. I feel like this would solve the problem of the cramped arena and extend the fight a bit longer so it doesn't end in 2 seconds. And once at the bottom, Big G would unleash his true power and turn on Sephiroth mode. He would start flying around the battlefield, hucking big ol' energy balls, shooting lasers, lowering your credit score. You get the gist. The arena would start to crumble from his sheer power alone as you see debris start to fall from the ceiling. One specific thing I want to add to this part is to make the player utilize all the abilities they've learned so far. Maybe he has a shield around him, you gotta use the Ultra Hand to grab one of his orbs and smack it back at him. Or use Ascent to sneak in from the bottom. Make this man seem like the most badass mother trucker around. And as for the dragon fight, while I think it's cool to ride on the light dragon, there isn't much more to it. I have 2 ideas for this. The first idea is to take direct control of Zelda and show that GT Shenron wannabe who's boss. Why bother popping its back at you when you grab him by the neck and eat him? 10 out of 10 game. And the second idea would be to make it similar to the fight on top of Elden Volcano, where you pilot a Zonai device and start shooting at him. Maybe the other sages could have their own little devices too that they pile around and help shoot at G-Meister. And as far as the story goes, there's really nothing I can change or add without rewriting a lot of the main story. So the only thing I can think of is just having Link and Ganondorf meet one more time before the final conclusion. Like if Gatorade mentioned that Zelda talked a lot about him back in his day, you know, just start some beef with him. Make this a personal matter that makes Link specifically want to kick this guy's ass. And I want to say again, that I really like Tears of the Kingdom, and by no means am I trying to say it's a bad game, or the ending sucks. I'm just saying that the final fight has the potential to be even better than it already is. Anyways, can't wait to see this nominated at the Game Awards and lose to Pikmin 4. See ya!